Welcome to this next episode of YouTube, where the title is Wolves Are Opportunistic. And what we're going to see today is some activity where the wolves are taking advantage of either each other, the wolf care staff, or items within their enclosure. And we start out with this footage with Denali, who's discovered something buried in the snow and is going to take the opportunity to dig that up. And I think it was an old pig's ear, but I'm really not sure. But it was pretty exciting to him, so he would show some pawing behavior and digging in the snow. And what's interesting to look at here is he's full engaged in tail wag and excitability. That is one thing that we've noticed this week that's different from previous weeks. There's a lot more social engagement, where previous weeks we've had a lot of situations where we've had the wolves a little antagonistic with each other, and we're starting to see some real strong social bonding behavior between the individuals. We've also returned to some sub-zero temperatures. So what we normally do during the middle of the week, we have bone dust that's provided from the local grocery store, and actually they've been Zoop's grocery store here in Ely has been providing us with bone dust since I started in 1989. But also Pam Slauson has been collecting bone dust from down near the Duluth Superior area, with her contacts there at one of the local grocery stores, and we're really appreciative of that. And what we do with that is midweek, we may feed Shadow and Malik and Griz ER a little bit of an extra meal. But this time, Griz ER and Shadow Malik weren't very interested, so we brought it into Aiden and Denali and gave them an opportunity to eat a little bit of an extra meal in the middle of the week. And it was certainly something that they were stimulated by, but actually more importantly, the chickadees were stimulated by it, so that gave them a little bit of other events to engage in. So what you're seeing here is again just the wolves taking the opportunity to get some extra food from people, being really keyed into the wolf care staff when they're coming and going around the enclosure, whether they're doing water or straw or whatever the activity is. We do see them engaged in ears prick forward behavior, very alert, very intent to what's going on, and really looking for any opportunity for a food resource. And that's really one of the things that even if they've just had a meal, they're always focused on when the next meal is coming. So that's one thing that makes them opportunistic. Denali is doing a little bit of scent rolling there. Again, one of the things that the wolves in captivity may get is something that's a little bit different. Some of the meat products that we give that people donate might be something that they're not used to, and that might stimulate them to scent roll and to mark that behavior as well. And you're seeing also a face wipe, and this is very common behavior after they've fed on that small amount of beef. They're going to clean themselves by doing that face wipe. So the title Opportunistic really refers to this little clip here, where Aiden's doing a little bit of engagement, social engagement with myself when I'm filming, trying to do some play bows to me, and I'm trying to get the wolves to be less likely to grab my hand when I'm filming. They have a tendency to want to get the camera, and so I'm trying to do some of my own guarding behavior and blocking behavior to keep them to respect my personal space and to back off a little bit. So that allows Aiden, or makes Aiden interested in doing a play bow and trying to solicit my attention. And when I don't give him attention, then he goes and charges Denali a little bit. But during the time I was filming, I was also doing basic general maintenance, and that means putting straw beds out, trying to get the wolves, again, just a little comfortable area in this sub-zero weather. And lo and behold, Denali grabs the rake. And so I was preoccupied with filming. I was kind of focused on Aiden, and that left Denali the opportunity to grab the rake and drag it across the enclosure. So what you saw and heard there was Denali grabbing the rake. So for me to try to get it back, when they have it, it's their possession, it's their right to guard it. And so they'll oftentimes be either doing a threat display, or they'll be just pick up and run with it because it's their possession. And that's what you can see here is Denali is guarding it from Aiden because he's standing over it. It's his possession. So what I try to do is slowly approach. If I approach too quickly and kind of run after it, they'll pick up and take off with it. So I slowly approach with the camera, and I put my foot on the rake, which instantly changed the possession, meaning it was his. Now that I'm standing on it, it's my possession. So you see Denali trying to grab and pick up the rake and try to grab it. And actually looking a little bit, there's a little bit of a threat display in there, although his tail's kind of wagging. So then Aiden comes over and blocks Denali, and then Aiden's going to try to come and get the rake. But you can see that they clearly see that it's my possession. They're not coming up and violating it. And this is real critical behavior that we teach or we work with the wolves when they're very young, is understanding possession. They innately understand possession rights, and so it's our job to make sure we follow through. When we have something, we guard it, and that keeps them away from things. So then we move over to Griz ER's enclosure. He's also doing a face wipe because he just finished eating his bone dust. And then we have the same raking opportunities here. And so as we're raking in the top of the den, again, it's a stimulus of movement that's probably causing a little bit of predatory drive to get them excited. And we do occasionally see a little bit more confrontation than just the paw on the rake. And I thought we'd show you a clip of what the surveillance camera picks up when we're doing wolf care. And this is us, myself, putting straw in the den, and Griz ER is a lot more engaging there with me, with the trying to grab the end of the rake and trying to interact. So it's important for us to possess our tools, to block our tools, but you know, Griz ER does get away with a lot. He's having a good time with it, so we didn't really intervene too much, and he went about his business. So again, we do use the straw beds to give them an opportunity to lay in the warmth of the straw. Again, wolves in the wild wouldn't be using any kind of a material to lie in, but these wolves are in a confined environment where you have compacted snow and you've lost your insulating value from the snow, so it's pretty much the least we can do. And then again, of course, it gets Griz ER excited. Anytime we do wolf care, he gets excited, so you're seeing a little bit of that excitement. And then he's been frequently stopping along the retired enclosure kind of view, where there's one spot where he can stand fence to fence with the retired. So there's still about a 6-foot separation, but he can see them. And he does stop and posture there a little bit. That usually gets some response from Shadow Malik, and then that triggers Griz ER to maybe do a little howl back. So after Griz ER does a little bit of a communication between Shadow and Malik, we finally get around to the actual physical part of wolf care, which involves checking him out, looking at any kind of issues that he might have, and giving him a little bit of a massage and rolling him around, allowing him to roll around in his back so that we can check out his paws, we can check his teeth, and we can make sure that everything's going okay. It probably is one of the favorite things for Griz ER. He does like to have that opportunity, and you can see he's pretty relaxed here. So nothing out of the ordinary for Griz ER. Again, he's going to be 8 on May 5th. We will watch and see how, after he sheds his winter coat, what that scar on the top of his head looks like. It still doesn't look like it's completely covered, but by the fact that the winter hair is covering it, that was our biggest concern. And he's, other than that, doing pretty good. He's actually a little less body weight than he was the previous winter, so that's probably helped him out a little bit. But he does get a lot of exercise. And of all the wolves here, he is the one that is most often stimulated into a chase scenario. And again, that's just been his personality since Oscar's come. A lot of times it's stimulated by Oscar, but in this case, it was stimulated by the wolf care staff. And essentially what's going on the other side of the fence is probably Aiden and Denali are joining in on the back side of the wood panel. And there you heard a little owl from the wolf care staff that Griz ER actually ran into a gate on his way through. And this is what the surveillance camera picks up. So what we see on the front end is him going the other way, but the surveillance camera picks up what he does on the back end, which is charge in and out of the den, typically charge on top of the den and run on top of the den and then jump off. But here's where you're likely seeing that chasing behavior that's going on between Aiden and Denali. And then over in retirement, we couldn't feature Shadow without having to mark the top of the den and take all of our straw that we just raked up on top of the den and push it back down the hill. So we do straw raking quite a bit here in retirement. And they are, even though they're going to be 12, these two are not immune to the whole concept of stimulated chase scenes and what we call invite chase. And that's Shadow getting pretty excited, and that was in response to Griz ER We had just left Grizer's pen, so he was still kind of racing around, and Shadow was joining in the chase, even from a separated fence wall. So other than that, in retirement, things have been pretty calm. We started to feed larger chunks of food. In the past, Shadow wasn't really engaging in defending food, and so we've always had to have small, more frequent meals. In the past couple of weeks, though, we've been able to feed some deer carcasses, and we'll be feeding another again on Saturday night. And he seems to be doing well, holding his own, guarding food, and getting his fair share from Malik. And this is Malik here, who has no problem guarding food. And so it's been one of those kind of transitional things. And since the move into retirement last July, we really did see Shadow having some more timid behaviors. So if you'd like to turn on the volume on this next clip, I'm going to narrate some behaviors, and if you want to test yourself and see if you come up with the same behaviors, there's a unique little clip here that's got about 6 or 7 behaviors from the ethogram worth watching. Shadow does a full roll when he gets out of bed. Malik did a little sneeze there. And then what's interesting is Malik does a face wipe where he wipes his paw, comes over in a T1 tail, does a 4 stretch, which is typical for getting up. And then it's followed by a little bit of a face-off with Shadow, trying to do a little vert gaze there. And then they do a behavior called invite chase, where they spring down and they run, and they spring down and run, and finally, eventually, Malik's chases off after Shadow. And then we come to Griz ER and Oscar, and Griz ER had just done a rollover for him, and then decides to just kind of lay there and watch Oscar. Oscar's chewing on a pig's ear, and then the pack starts howling, and as soon as I come up out to film, Oscar was howling with them, but then he comes to greet me, so I'll let you listen to the pack howl here. And Oscar's doing a little bit of barking. One other note we'd like to say is we did post the Working for Wolves for spring, which is the Working for Wolves program where we get the lab sanitized and ready for pups, including some gate work and some fencing work. So just got that posted this week. So if you were waiting for that, that has been posted. Thanks for watching.